Thank you very much. If I can get this out of here. Thank you very much. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Kareem. I'm very honored to be with you. I'm holding this mic very close because I was in the Arctic the other day. You can hear my voice. I caught a cold. I think I got too close to the icebergs, but it's an honor for me to be here. Sharik, thank you for a very generous introduction. More importantly, thank you for your wonderful service to the United States State Department. I think all of you can feel his energy and his enthusiasm, can't you? And he is doing a terrific job for the State Department. A wonderful good evening to you all. I want to express my appreciation to Imam Pastor Majid and also to Pastor Imam Roberts. I'm very appreciative very grateful for their wonderful words of faith, their words of an expression of our common ground that brings us here, and which more and more people really need to understand. And to all of the distinguished leaders of faith who are here, particularly, if you don't mind if I single out my old friend, His Eminence Cardinal McCarrick, who is such a wonderful leader here. I want to thank you all for hosting us here today. I'm looking out at this audience, and I want to know why there are more cameras focused on Angelina Jolie than me. What's going on here, guys? But I am enormously appreciative of the wonderful work that is done here at the Adams Center. I know that this Interfaith Iftar is an annual event, and it coincides this year with World Refugee Day. And it also coincides with the humanitarian crisis of mammoth proportions. What we are facing today, Angelina and I were talking about it coming over here, just place after place after place is presenting us with challenge. And many of you are all too familiar with the numbers, so I'm not going to recite all the numbers to you. But the bottom line is that today, World Refugee Day, we need to understand that there are 65 million people who are displaced from their homes. If you put them all together in one place, one country, that would make up the 22nd largest country in the world. And this has created an enormous test of our international capacity, of all of our community's capabilities, and of our compassion, which both the pastor and the imam talked about. A requirement of all religions is compassion, the golden rule. And each of us need to listen carefully to what the Special Envoy, Angelina Jolie Pitt, said about our responsibilities and think deep inside about what all of us can do. In the United States, no one has done more than non-governmental organizations, including religious groups, to raise money, to advocate for and assist in the settlement of refugees. And I know that many of you here tonight have been very active in that effort, and we thank you for that. But as a country, the United States proudly does lead the world in the more than $5 billion of assistance that we have provided to those who have been made homeless just by the fighting in Syria, and in our annual contributions to refugees from other conflicts as well. We have almost 12 million people alone who are displaced in Syria, 4.5 million who are refugees, and the other 8 million are just displaced people. And some of them are living in Lebanon, not even in camps. Some of them in Turkey in camps. Some of them in Jordan in camps. Many of them, as you've seen, struggling to cross from Greece to Europe and find the hope of a future rather than the terrible images of a crisis, of the loss of life on the seas or that horrible picture, moving, iconic picture of a young child listless in the arms of his father. So we here in the United States, because of this, because of our sense of responsibility, have pledged to increase the number of refugees that we resettle annually from 70,000 last year to 85,000 this year in fiscal 2016, and aiming for 100,000 in a year from now down the road. This is what we are trying to do. Around the world, a huge effort is being made to respond to this crisis. But I have to tell you, my friends, all of our efforts still fall short of the need. Every nation, every sector, every individual has a responsibility to try to do more. As Secretary of State, I am particularly focused on not just writing checks every year, but on dealing with the crisis at its roots. That means ending conflict, ending a war in Libya, ending a war in Yemen, ending a war in Syria. That is what we are trying to do. And as you know, every war and every conflict actually reflects a failure of diplomacy. Every time we prevent a war or bring an end to a conflict, we make it possible for people to live normally, not as a refugee, but in their own communities, to be able to go home and live in the place that they want to go. And that is why the pursuit of peace, the desire for peace, is so strong among people of every single faith. Our leaders have a solemn responsibility to protect the people who live within our borders, and that is precisely why our refugee screening process is so comprehensive and rigorous. It is also effective. And those who apply for refugee status have to demonstrate that they have a well-founded fear of persecution, as you know. And they will be turned down if they have a history of extremist or criminal behavior. And it's important for people to know that, because people shouldn't fear a process which is as thorough and complete and detailed as the process is here in our country. And if people make false claims or they're unwilling to answer hard questions, then, of course, they will not be allowed to come. There is absolutely no evidence, my friends, zero evidence, that refugees who make it through this arduous process pose any greater threat to our society than the members of any other group. And it is important for people to know that. And let me be very clear. Preventing any group from entering the United States solely because of their race or because of their nationality or because of a religious affiliation is directly contrary to the very ideals on which our country is based. We believe in individual rights, not collective guilt. And we believe in judging people based on what they do, not the circumstances of their birth or their choice of sacred texts. Not only that, we need to remember that bigoted and hateful rhetoric towards Muslims plays right into the hands of the terrorist recruiters who propagate the lie. It plays into the hands of people who propagate the lie that America is at war with Islam, when in fact there is no country on earth where Muslims enjoy more freedom than in the United States of America. My friends, as Angelina knows, and as many of you obviously know, and many of you from very personal experience, the refugee story at its heart is not about statistics. It's about people. It's about families like the one from Damascus and now living in Indiana that spent more than 3 years in a refugee camp and sat through 6 5-hour interviews before getting the green light to come to the United States. It's about the young mother in Dearborn in Michigan whose brother was shot down right before her eyes by the Syrian army. His crime? Taking a photograph of a peaceful protest. It's about the young man from Dara who was about to be killed by soldiers only to be saved when an old woman came barreling into the street, pleading with the gunman not to kill her son. And the man who had never seen the woman before lives now with his wife and daughter in Texas, works the night shift at Walmart, and is paying back the cost of their plane flights in monthly installments. That's the story of a refugee. The refugee story... The refugee story is about thousands and thousands of families who want their new neighbors to know that they are not the perpetrators of terror or violence, but rather people who yearn just like them only to live in security and peace. Let me be clear. There is nothing ideological about coming to the aid of someone in need. In times of crisis, when the summons goes out, Americans have traditionally responded as one nation. Americans say, here we are, what can we do to help? That's who we are. That is America at its best. And that is the America that we must restore and preserve in the years and months to come. And looking around this room and looking at all of you with the excitement in your eyes about being here and being part of this journey, I am confident that together we are going to succeed. I want to we have about 2 minutes before we break the fast, so I will do what I learned how to do when I was in the United States Senate, which is filibuster. And I just want to tell you quickly for a minute, I want to thank the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts. Thank you so much. I've done public speaking a lot, and I learned a long time ago, never speak after the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts do anything. They steal the show. And then the second danger tonight is Angelina Jolie Pitt. She is the show. So, you know, but I want to express my gratitude to you. My mother was a Girl Scout leader for many, many, many years. And she was actually born at a time and she was raised abroad, and she lived in England, and she actually met the founder of the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, Lord Baden-Powell. So there was a little connection there to all of you for a long time. And I was a Cub Scout. I got a little ways. So before the rabbi breaks the fast, I just want to say to all of you observing, I wish you a very blessed and rewarding month of Ramadan. To all of you, thank you, good night, and God bless you all. Thank you.